On today's episode of WatchJRGo, we are out in the country where Brandon from Sullivan Auto House found a Yugo Gamble.
Yeah, that's right. This is the Yugo Gambit.
What is going on, guys? I am WatchJRGo, and today, like I said, I am here with Matt and Brandon to pick up something you don't see in the US, a Yugo. This is a 1988 Yugo GV. I don't think I've ever seen one of these in real life. Let's be real.
I never have.
First one.
Wow, what a cool dash. This dash looks like something IKEA would build. It's got a just very IKEA layout going on.
And here we are 10 seconds later going for our first drive in the Yugo. It's electric powered today. Well, we are back in the shop with the 1988 Yugo GV that we just picked up for Sullivan Auto House here. And you guys know we've worked together on a bunch of projects, the Lloyd Stearman Mercedes, all those electric cars we just did, and now a Yugo GV, or it was also sold as the Yugo 45. But in the US, they are all GVs for great value. Now, I don't know if it was a great value, but it was always cheap. These things, when they were new, were $3,990. Absolutely insane. Malcolm Bricklin, yep, the guy that built the Bricklin car with the power opening doors. It's not a good car, but it has power opening doors, which is very, very cool. And a V8, if I remember. They look cool. It's a cool idea, but it's just not a great car at the end of the day. Well, he also started a company that would import different cars into the US. And those cars were the Bertone or Fiat X19, 45 as the GV, and then later on a bunch of Chinese cars from Chery, which means he probably owned the company that imported that three-wheeled Chery-based car that I had back in the day. So this Yugo GV is another car that's a result of him importing weird stuff into the US. Now, this is the slowest car ever sold in the US. I don't know, it's a toss-up between that Chinese car that I had and this, but this had a top speed of 86 miles per hour. It's powered by a 1.1 liter four-cylinder engine, a tiny, I mean, that's smaller than a 2-liter bottle of pop. It's nearly a 20-ounce engine, right? 4-speed manual transmission inside, the world's most basic interior. I do like these door handles a lot. The door handles are cool. The one on the driver's door is missing a nut on the inside, but honestly, it's a cool door handle, and the latch, if you check it out, looks exactly like the Mercedes G-Wagon latch. They use the exact same striker and this little cam system. So let's shut the door. I just want to see, does it sound like G-Wagon? Kinda. All right, well, they spent money on one thing in this car, and now we know it is the door latch. Where they did not spend money was the glass. Look at this. Have you ever seen non-tinted glass with no edging or anything, and then the seal is just shoved over the headliner and the interior fabrics? Pretty crazy. The seals have dried up a little bit and have started to pull back there, but it did have seals. They did put seals on it. Here's the, oh, wow, these aren't going back into place. But that's kind of to be expected with a vehicle that's nearly 40 years old and was sold as like the cheapest car you could possibly buy. This one's also been sitting outside for years and years and years. It has manual windows, a cute little door release that's kind of built into the armrest / door puller right there. The door panels are, I guess, plastic covered in something. I like the door lock. Check it out. I think red for unlocked and green for locked that's kind of what it's looking like there here. Let's shut the door. Wow. Oh, okay. Down is door shut. Okay, so now it's door lock. And then if we go back to red, yep, there you go. Hand crank windows that could use a little bit of lubrication from sitting outside here. The craziest interior. This interior looks like IKEA built it. So it's honestly pretty odd to see. The seats, of course, I've seen a little sunwear here. Oh, wow, does the whole seat lift up to get in the back? It does! All right, so, okay, go back. Okay, there it goes. All right, it locked back in place right there. big old tall 4-speed shifter, e-brake here in the middle, seat belts, there's the climate control, no AC, just heat and cool right there. And I love the switches. The switches truly look like something IKEA would build, so do the gauges. The whole dash does. It's a cool looking dash. What do we have here? The ashtray, I assume. Yep. All right, ashtray, cigarette lighter. I guess we could call it well equipped. Turn signals, wipers and washer, and a little Yugo horn button there. Cool steering wheel too. The headliner is some kind of vinyl that looks kind of cool. Okay, it's supposed to have 2 interior lights, but the passenger one here is missing. And a big old back seat. So this looks like the Chevy Chevette that we just drove exactly. But the Chevette was older and is built way better. So I guess it's got that going for it. Now this was a pain from start to finish. We got it on the trailer. They said they had just rebuilt the brakes on it, but the brakes are stuck or sticking. Not sure why, but you can't even push it. Like, we had to use the lawnmower just to move this thing with 2 people pushing, and it doesn't weigh anything at all. It's super, super light. You can't push it. So the brakes are locked up. They did paint the wheels, and the wheels do look very good, and that's silver. On the trip over here, the entire trailer was covered in gasoline. And I'm assuming that if we open this up here, locking gas cap, that's something. Dirty. Seal looks good though. I can't see down in there because it's got a little tab, but I don't think the filler hose is connected or it's completely rotted out. Something like that. Just things that happen over time. There we go. That black right there is going to need some Avalon King. Little ceramic coating. It'll look black again. And it won't come off on your hands, which will be good. So we got the little GV logo right here for good value, great value. And single rear wiper, defrost rear window. Honestly, those are options, and they're really not bad. Big old giant reverse lights down here, and bonus, nice tow hooks. I'll give them some credit for that. It was easy to move this thing around because it has excellent tow hooks. Now this example, for some reason, is missing its rear hatch latch right there. So if we open this thing up, check it out. I think these are original, because they do say Yugoslavia on them. I think these are original struts, and they're still working to this day. So you gotta give them some credit there. That is very cool. Here in the hatch, we've got some storage. We've got a parcel shelf that lifts up with the hatch. This rubber piece is holding it together, and this one over here is broken. So I don't know if we can source new ones, but that would be cool. It looks like it does have rear speakers. I wanna say 4x6, but they're like 2x3 in reality. They're very, very small rectangles. And over here in the side, we have the rear washer fluid, and it has its own pump. And it's pretty funny, you can see the seat belts for the back seat there as well, fully exposed. And this might have been a toolkit or something. Don't know, but it looks like that would have been jack or some kind of toolkit for the car right there. All right, let's close the hatch. The rear windows do flip out, so they have that little latch like the old school minivans had. You push down and then kind of cams out to lock it open. Single rear view mirror, single side view mirror, and it's in the box. I heard it's in the box. We've got an antenna right here, and that's it. There is no radio. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there is no radio. And we did get this window down because it was so hot while we were loading this on the trailer. I got in and I was pouring sweat in just seconds. So both seats can be released and flip up so you can load people into the back. The switches are lights, fan, hazard. Hazard looks like it might have been on fire a little bit, a little concern there. That must be the rear wiper right there, and that's the rear defrost. Cluster dimming right there. And then here's our hood release. Wow, that's a complete walkthrough of a car in a matter of minutes. It has sun visors too. I might as well show you everything. Only 2 vents in the center, and then some defrost vents. And let's see what we've got under the hood. Let's check out this 1.1 liter engine. Wow, I want to say it's cute, and it kind of is cute, but it's cute in a very, very bad way. Now it is timing belt, which is kind of cool. And honestly, I bet it needs a new belt. The tension is a little iffy there. At least it doesn't look too cracked. It's obviously missing the timing belt cover there. Old school fuses right there. But for some reason the fuse box is like out. The heater box is out too, so that's a little sketchy. air pump, and the belt is still on the air pump. We'll probably have to do something about that because the cat is not on this thing. Actually, the entire exhaust is missing. It's cut off right here if you can look straight down. I don't know if you can, but the exhaust is just chopped right off of this thing. And here's the jack. If you have to work on your Yugo on the side of the road, you pop that handle up, pop that guy out, get this out of here, and the spare tire goes up in here too. The whole spare tire hides up inside that little pocket there. Then you get your jack to unfold. Then you slide this guy right here in until it stops. And it's a bit of an odd angle here. We're going the wrong way. And then you simply go like this until it lifts the car up. I mean, it does work. It seems like it's bent or something, the way it's contacting the ground here. But the car is going up. I can tell you that much. Oh, come on. There it is. All right. Well, we know that wheel's not stuck. This wheel, okay. What a sketchy design. Did you guys see that? It tried to fall over immediately. Never mind. I hate this whole design. You better hope your parking brake works if you're gonna use this thing, because the jack has no rigidity. Then when you're done and you need to stow it, you gotta crank the jack all the way down until this pin here goes back in its little holder. There's so much rust coming out of this thing. Just everything I touch here. Well, if you have to use old sketchy jack to lift your car on the side of the road, make sure you go find rocks or something and block the other side of the car, or it might just roll away on you. Very, very sketchy system. But it is interesting, and a lot of old cars kind of use that center lift point. Electric wipers, there's our washer fluid right there, and the coolant reservoir right there. Looks like an original hose, that's a little iffy. I bet that cannot be removed. Battery box right here. What's that say? 120 LMA. Interesting. And brake reservoir and brake master hiding down there. Electric cooling fan, which is cool. It actually seems like it runs nice. All right. And here's that hose from the coolant reservoir here. It does move a little bit. Let's see if we got coolant in here. We heard when we picked this thing up that, wow, that's a new one for me. I've never seen the cap literally fall into pieces. All right, I'm gonna vacuum this out and then pull the rest of the cap out and we'll throw that away. Engine oil? It exists. It's black, but it exists. It looks like we've got a mechanical fuel pump right here too, so I bet that still works. Let's unhook that because we don't want to suck in this fuel. Believe me, I had to smell the fuel when we got this off the trailer. The whole neighborhood smelled like it. It spilled so much out. So the last thing we want to do is have this fuel pump start pumping fuel into the engine. But the guys told me, the kid we bought this from, who painted the wheels and had kind of started on this project here, he told us, I don't know, the engine might be stuck. But when we asked him if it ran, he said that he sprayed gas in the carburetor and had it running. So there's a chance that it runs. Let's grab whatever this is here. It looks like a 17, and we're gonna turn it on the cam instead of the crank and just wiggle it back and forth and see if the engine moves at all. I'm not gonna put a bunch of force on it because, like I said, I'm not in love with the timing belt. The moment of truth, here we go. Now, if you guys don't know anything about Yugos, and I wouldn't expect you to, I sure don't. Ooh, 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 come on, come on, come on. Come on. All right, we're gonna go to the crank bolt. I've got too much force on here. Last thing I wanna do is jump a tooth on that belt. So, these were built in Yugoslavia and imported by Brooklyn, like I was saying. And there was an elite team that built these, and they got paid $1.32 more an hour than everybody else building the Yugos, because the ones that came into the US had to be better, right? We just have a different expectation of quality for our cars. And apparently the teams that were building the normal Yugos weren't hitting those quality expectations, so they kind of gave the GVs their own team to assemble these. And they have a ton of changes for the American market as well. That's right. From what you're seeing here, this is safer than the ones that were being delivered in the rest of the world. Just seeing the Yugo in the air looks crazy. This thing is so small and weighs so little. The lift had zero issues picking it up, didn't even notice it. Okay, well that one's not stuck. Tire's a little flat. These are brand new tires. They have 0 miles on them, you can tell. Not even a mile. And they're dated 19, all of them. So they're all brand new. You can see all the paint's still on them. So that one's in good shape. This one should roll. Why did this car not roll? The whole exhaust is missing. You can see that. This is the air injection back to the cat. So cat's missing. This is the stuck wheel. All right, it's totally stuck. And this one, that one turns. It looks like this is supposed to be reverse or neutral safety. And for some reason, it doesn't have any wiring going to it. And I don't see the wiring either, it's just gone. This looks like somebody hole sawed it themselves. I bet the clutch was stuck and they literally just took a hole saw and punched through here. It could be a factory thing though. It's a very round hole. But that's also the exact hole you would need to pry on the clutch with a pry bar. Nice tow hooks, like I said. And there's our crank bolt. Wow, it's huge. I don't know what that is, but it might be the biggest socket I've ever seen in my life. I'm gonna go get the biggest stuff I have and we'll see if we can turn it. I started with the biggest socket I have, a 36, and that does not fit this insane nut here. So we're going with the big channel locks. That's all we got. I got a good bite. I just don't know if I'm gonna be able to turn it. Nothing. Not even a blip. I just so happen to have a wrench that is 1.5 inch, bigger than everything else I have apparently, and it is turning. Put a long wrench on here and see if we can get another little hit on this. There she goes, she's freeing up. The starter might have been very mad at me if I tried this. I'm gonna manually rotate it through a couple turns and then we'll put some power on this and crank it over because they told me it's good to go. Well, the Yugo was a little stubborn to start with, but after about a half turn, it got pretty easy. And after that, I turned it over like 4 more times and I think it's good to go. It's making weird noises, but the weird noises seem to be coming out of the clutch. I noticed, I put it in gear and tried to use the transmission to turn the engine over, and it was making terrible noises out of the clutch then. So it may need a clutch, which would be very unfortunate, but at the same time, eventually it did bite. So I'm not sure what's going on over there, but there were a lot of clinky noises coming out of the transmission. It could be dry, it really could be. Let's get this thing on the floor and try to crank it over. My lift has never moved this slow in its life. At one point we had a scooter on it that might have weighed less than this, and I think it was that slow then. So any day now it'll be back on the ground and we'll throw a little bit of battery power at it. Now the brakes do look new. It looks like they painted the brackets, replaced all the brake pads. Unfortunately the driver one is seized, so that's never a good sign, but we can probably release it pretty easily. I'm sure the fluid is a billion years old in here. Let's take a quick look. It's got one of those terrible top mount brake sensors. You have to kind of use 2 hands if you want to get it off effectively. But we got, ooh. Well, it had enough brake fluid to make the sensor, but that is dark brown. Dark brown. So it probably does need all of its brake fluid. I'm guessing if we change the brake fluid and re-bleed all the calipers, we'll have some luck getting that brake to work again. At least I sure hope. Now, let's jump in here and pull the air cleaner off. See what we're dealing with this carburetor here. I know the carb's gonna need rebuilt because I don't think they ever did rebuild it while they were working on this thing. They clearly put a fuel pump on it, but I doubt they did a carb, and that's probably why it doesn't run. Everything under here is unhooked. This is supposed to go all the way up here and hook up to the air cleaner, kind of like that. We'll spin off the wing nut. Maybe. It's coming out of the carburetor. That's what's going on. That's fine with me. We don't need you in the carburetor. Oh no, all the plastic's broken. But of course it is. I mean, it only makes sense. All right. Oh, that carburetor looks terrible. It has 100% not been gone through. Wow, the entire car gets all of its power from the starter. You can see it's got the one power cable here, runs down to the starter, and just those 2 little wires right there have to power the entire car. Headlights, blowers. It's not enough power, that's for sure. It should have a direct wire all the way over to this fuse box, to run everything, which there's a chance that none of the electronics work too. You can see the corrosion on the fuses. It's always there on these hybrid plastic wannabe glass fuses. I'll give them all a little twist and we'll hope it doesn't burn down. There was a nest in there too. Vacuum line nightmare, and this car has nothing. No features, nothing, and it's still a vacuum line nightmare. All right, so here's our fuel into the carb. No clamp, that would have blown right off. We're gonna dump this into a gas can, and then I'm gonna spray some fuel in here eventually. For now, you can just sit there. Don't burn the car down, please. Well, I know I said the car needs additional power, and it honestly looks like it does need it because nothing in the car works. I don't know what's going on. Maybe there's a blown fusible link. Maybe they were troubleshooting. Who knows? But nothing in the car has any power except for the starter solenoid. So we do have power going that far, and it does go to the ignition. So let's crank it. Here we go. That sounds horrific. It sounds like this engine might be toast. And they told us they had a spare engine, but all the valves were bent. I think all the valves are bent on this one because there's a good chance. I doubt this works, but I sprayed some fuel in it. Did it seem like it fired and it's out of time? Because that's what it seemed like to me.
Many minutes later.
I should have recorded this, but honestly in my head I'd already written off this engine as trash. I was like, the valves have to be bent on this one too. I think it's shot. And before you think we didn't do our due diligence when we bought this thing, we bought it from a bunch of car guys that were doing like frame off restorations on Jeeps. They offered us like $100,000 worth of GM engines that they had sitting around. So, you know, in our heads, we figured immediately all the work was done right. So, you know, it would have been in time. They would have done everything that they did do correctly, like the brakes and the fuel pump. So when you tackle a new project like this, you kind of add all that backstory into it in your head and you're like, well, either they were dumping a project that's trash on us, or, you know, they bought it like this and wanted to give up, or you assume that they did all the work and it's correct. If they're mechanics, they knew. So what I forgot to record was pulling all the spark plugs and putting the camera in there. I looked in every cylinder and every valve looks good to me. I didn't roll them all through, but they all look like they're straight. I didn't see witness marks on the pistons. So from what I can tell, the valve train is still intact. Now that doesn't mean it's in time, and I don't know where the timing marks are. And honestly, it's so rusty. Okay, that's probably the timing mark. I'm gonna guess that's like TDC. And if we look on the crank, we can't see it. But with that said, we're not gonna worry about that right now. I think that the spark plug wires might be mixed up on the distributor because I just cranked it over and it has massive spark. I'm honestly incredibly surprised that it has wonderful spark. So we're gonna go ahead and pull the spark tester off, figure out what direction it goes. Put the wire back on. So I'm gonna run through the spark plug wires here and see if maybe they're on the distributor in the wrong order, or the distributor is way out of time. I'm guessing it's something like that. Oh, here's the ignition control module, I see. So our timing source is coming out of there on the side of the distributor. It's this wire coming over to here with a bunch of cuts in it, unfortunately. And then that comes over to this Bosch ignition control module, and that heads over here to the coil. But we are getting spark. I don't know if the spark's right, but we're getting it. So we do have power. Let's see if the spark plug wires are just in the wrong order on the cap. It's the little victories, guys, or in this case, the very, very large victories, but also the scariest thing you could ever find at the same time. So they included the Haynes manual and the Chillins manual. They were both in the box with this car. Luckily, because of course, you start where you always do and Google the spark plug wiring diagram. There is nothing for the Yugo, but it does exist in the Haynes manual. So I checked the spark plug wire layout. It's correct. That's scary, right? Then you're like, it's gotta be timing. So I found in the box of parts the timing cover, and I went ahead and lined up the crank, and it does have a tiny little mark on it with that 0 degree mark right there. And then if you look right here, you can see me through that hole. That hole is where you stick a pin through, or just look through it, and you can see the timing on the cam gear here. And guess what? It's in time. At least we think, right? I don't know which stroke it's on because I didn't roll through that many times, but I was very happy to see the engine is in time. I don't think it slipped at all. Both of them lined up. So that means Eric here just showed up. He's gonna crank this thing over. He's gone. That's how much he hates Yugos. We're gonna go ahead and restart the jump pack because this battery is having a hard time cranking. Hold on. Okay, we've got jump pack. Wait, I'll spray in some fuel and then crank because it's in time and we do have the spark plug layout correct. See if I can really get some fuel in here. All right, there's a lot of fuel. Try it out. Oh, it's trying to run. I don't know why, it's just off by a hair.
Do it one more time.
Yep, go ahead. Go. I think the starter's just shot.
Something's magic.
Yeah, the starter's...
This looks in here on the dirt. I have a feeling that might be just packed.
Try to crank it one more time for me if you would. Please, please work, please work, please work. Ugh.
Watch.
Dude, it was so close.
Yeah, it technically kind of fired off that.
It really did. It was trying to run. I think the starter is done, but... Yep. Turns out all she wanted was some exercise and it was ready to start. But unfortunately, I think that starter is completely done for. It is very hot too. And it only cranked for a couple of seconds. I bet this one can be rebuilt, but that's not happening today, I can tell you that much. And of course you can rebuild this starter. The Haynes manual has a full walkthrough of how to swap out the brushes, which is basically just right there. Cut the brushes out and solder on some new ones and then put it all back together. At least we got it to fire on the first day with it. Unfortunately, a lot of these old starters are super weak, so we will tackle that in the next one. We can't spend too much money on this because you can very quickly get buried in a project like this, and obviously it's not quite worth getting buried in. Like the last Bring a Trailer sale was, I think, $6,000, something like that, and that one is beautiful. It's like showroom perfect. So that's the bar that we're chasing with this car. Can't get too much in it, but we do want it to run and drive. Anyway, that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop.WatchJRGo.com for cool shirts, not like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I will talk to you next time. I know this is what you guys all want to see, and the injectors may be in the mail already, may not be. Again, I'm not sure. We got everything set up, but I'm just not sure if they've shipped yet or not. It's what I want to be doing too, and it's going to be very fun, but just soon. Until then, you go.